Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. Today is a very important day because today, the 1st of July 2023, Tesla is 20 years old. But where will it be in another 20 years? So what I'm not going to do on this video is to give you the absolute carte blanche detail on the history of Tesla. This is not story time. This is me trying to find some relevance in the fact that this company is 20 years old. But where has it gone in those 20 years? It is the biggest car company in the world by quite a long way. And it has increased in value 20,000 times since it was floated publicly back in 2009. 20,000 times. I know the share price has gone a little bit up and down in recent years, but we've seen an absolute explosion both in its value and also I think its relevance in an EV market which is now going absolutely full throttle towards governments like mine in the United Kingdom, basically telling everyone that you have to get an EV whether you like it or not. So how did this happen? How did Tesla become the biggest car company in the world? It's currently the 7th largest corporation on the planet. Tesla was founded 20 years ago today by two businessmen, and neither of them are Elon Musk, despite the fact that Tesla and Elon Musk seem to go absolutely hand in hand in most people's perceptions about what the business is and who runs it and who owns it. But Tesla was not founded by Elon Musk. It was founded by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Martin had been an engineer working on other battery projects, and he wanted to buy an EV sports car and couldn't find one. There was a prototype vehicle that was available from a company called AC Propulsion, and it was called a T0, and that was still powered by old-fashioned lead-acid batteries. Although this thing was still quick, it's just that lead-acid batteries are really heavy and they don't go very far. So Martin was working alongside the AC Propulsion team about trying to convert that vehicle onto lithium ion, which he thought would be a far better proposition, and was making progress on that, but they didn't want to scale the business. The idea basically was born: let's have a mass market EV car company. And as he put it at the beginning, he wanted to have a business that's a car manufacturer but also a technology company. Now, I've said quite a lot of times that Tesla is a tech company that just so happens to make cars. That obviously goes all the way back to the very beginning, and he actually had some guiding principles about the nature of EVs, which I think actually, when I look at this, is still really relevant today. So let's have a look at these. So number one, an electric car should not be a compromise. The right technology choices, again I'm quoting from Wikipedia, it's possible to build electric cars that are better cars than their competitors. Now, here in 2023, I absolutely do believe that that is the case with certainly the Tesla Model 3 and the Tesla Model Y. Remember, the Model Y is in the first quarter of 2023 the best-selling car globally. The second one, battery technology is a key to a successful electric car. Lithium-ion batteries are not only suitable for automotive use, they are game-changing, making decent driving range a reality. We're certainly there, aren't we? So there's lots of questions asked all the time about EVs and what kind of range they've got. It's constantly a thing on Tesla owners forums and on Facebook groups. How much range does your car get? It's a real issue. But the point is that with all of these things, the range is into the several hundred miles plus territory. And his third guiding principle: if designed right, electric cars can appeal to even the most serious car enthusiast, as electric drive is capable of seriously outperforming internal combustion engines. If you've never driven a car that has no gearbox, okay, and it's driven by an electric motor, you really should do, because once you've had electric propulsion rather than mechanical propulsion, you never want to go back. So that's the three guiding principles right back from the start. And they really are visionary. But the thing that Tesla really needed at the beginning was some money. And it just so happened that Mr. Elon Musk, who had sold PayPal for about $1 gazillion, had some money, and he was also very interested in electric sports cars and electric cars in general. He had also had seen the AC propulsion T0 prototypes and gone, there's something here. So he was put in touch with the guys at Tesla and became one of the earliest investors. In fact, he invested $6.5 million of his own money, and this is right back, towards the very beginning, and became the chairman of the business. So he was there from the start and had a lot of involvement on development of what became the Tesla Roadster. He didn't run the business day to day. He drove the vision thing. So initially they were working again alongside AC Propulsion and licensing its technology, which they then developed further to develop their own motors and electronics and drivetrain and so on. So they got to the point where they developed their own bespoke package, and Tesla's drivetrain is unreal in terms of efficiency and the way that it is so neatly packaged. And developing that package themselves was one of the reasons why they were stepping away from AC right at the beginning, because they really thought we can do something phenomenal with space usage inside the car. But of course you need a car to then bolt all of this technology onto, so they partnered with Lotus. If you don't know, they are a small British sports car manufacturer, and they had a small two-seater sports car called an Elise. And they did a partnership deal with Tesla to be able to develop the technology, and essentially led to a slightly elongated chassis variant of the Elise, which Tesla could put its own body panels onto and of course build its own motor. So Lotus would build the actual rolling chassis, 2,500 of them, and then Tesla would build the body shell, mostly out of carbon fiber, in France, and build its own motors and electronics, and cars were finally assembled in either the UK or the US and then shipped out to customers. And we of course know who got the first of the production cars, which was Elon Musk himself, because his car, his first Tesla Roadster, became quite famous later on when he basically stuck it as a test load on top of the Falcon 9 Heavy when that launched for the first time, and he sent it off towards Mars. A good way of disposing of a vehicle, but maybe slightly expensive. So the strategy was very simple. The strategy was quite simply, let's build something that gets everybody's attention, that people are willing to pay a lot of money for. That means that we can then start to build more cars and start to go into more mass market things, as they are now doing. Tesla had been building mass market cars for a decade. Okay, a little bit more than a decade, but even the Model S to start off with was built in small numbers. It's only when they got the Fremont factory that they actually started to churn out cars in any kind of numbers, and even those were tiny. It's in recent years that they have built the new gigafactories, so Shanghai, then Texas, and now Berlin, and then start to output cars in enough volume to be able to be the best-selling car in the world. But that has taken a while, and it's only in the last few years that the scale has come. Every single legacy car manufacturer has piled in onto this, and remember that quite a few of them treated EVs as a side project or a joke. General Motors famously got in right at the beginning of the process and built the EV1 prototypes, which people absolutely loved, and then they saw that it was a threat to their core business and withdrew them and literally crushed them. I mean, talk about we're going to pull out of electric vehicles. I know Elon launched one of them off into space, but GM crushed them all. Madness. Everybody is now back, and everyone is back to building electric vehicles. But I think the principal difference is packaging. Teslas are built on a production line that only builds EVs, with a package that's built from the literally ground up to be as packed tightly and neatly as possible to maximize internal space. So many other EV brands are built either on the same line that's building petrol and diesel cars, or at least in the same factory with the same processes, which means that you basically need to design a car that has got an engine, even if there isn't an engine, which is why you've got a big motor inverter stack under the bonnet of so many EVs. It's not space efficient, it's not flexible, it's still stuck in the past a little bit. I think we're going to start to see those guys coming under real pressure because it's no longer just Tesla. You've got the likes of BYD following, and Lucid, and a whole load of other Chinese, frankly, brands where there's enormous amounts of money being pumped in, and it's developing cars which it can then sell in the West for actually quite good money, considering that it'll be relatively cheaper for them to build them over there than it would be if, say, we set up an EV business in the UK. They are going to clean up, and the likes of Mercedes and Audi and BMW, who at the moment seem to be building cars with horrible fronts on them because they're taking their exact design and with a big grille and saying, well, everybody wants that because that's what our cars are, and they're sticking on the front of their cars as well, and the packaging's poor and they're really inefficient. I think they're going to come under increasing pressure, and frankly I would expect that, never mind the next 20 years, we're going to see quicker than that a load more mergers where the legacy car manufacturers all kind of squish together into one, and they are being absolutely spanked by some of the new Chinese competitors. And the model to think about here is this. In Britain, we used to have an absolute armada of car manufacturers who, over the period of a couple of decades, all had to merge together and glue the bits that were still viable together into bigger and bigger and bigger conglomerates. As we've already seen, frankly, with some of the other European car manufacturers. I mean, Volkswagen Audi Group is enormous. Stellantis is enormous. But you're going to have to start gluing these together even more. And in Britain, eventually, all of those different brands kind of squished together into a couple of brands which were completely outcompeted by literally everybody else. And I really do think there is a risk here of probably not Mercedes-Benz because they've got that kind of brand equity, but there's quite a few of the others where you look and think, are we actually going to need that brand? Where they're offering, frankly, still a legacy car that's just been converted to EV, when there's built from the ground up brilliant things at a much cheaper price coming from China. And I don't think it's necessarily that in 20 years' time, in 2043, that Tesla is going to be as massively dominant from a value perspective as it is now, because competition is good and the market will put other people in. But I don't think they're going to be far off it. Let me know in the comments what you think, where Tesla are going to be on their 40th birthday. Is Elon still going to be around and in charge? Let me know in the comments, what do you think? It's Tesla's 20th birthday. Should we be having a party? Should the rest of the industry be crying about it? Let me know what do you think, and I'll see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.